Okay, so this little trick I use when Flutterflow doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. And I'll just give an example here of what it does, and I'll show you a couple of ways I'm employing this method, and I'm sure something you can find useful. So basically we've got an app here. So if I create a test post, it's a completely empty app. And what happens is, the idea is that our user can drag and drop from these dynamically created items on the carousel. But as you can see, the one post, because it's carousel, the one post essentially takes up all of 3 carousel items because it's on continuous loop, because it's a better user experience to be able to continuously swipe. So the problem is, the user's going to create one post and it's going to be confusing because it's going to be, well, I only created one, why is there 3? If I do sort of post 2, you can see you got post 2, test post, post 2, test post, post 2. So it's fine if there's more than one item, but if there's one item, it's just confusing for the user. And we've got a way we can get around this using this little hack, and I've got another method as well with the calendar, so I'll show you as well. So let's go into Flutterflow and take a look. So basically it's all to do with conditional visibility, and we're using our good old friend a stack. So what I've actually got in this branch, so I just demonstrated on the app there, that's the latest APK that I've downloaded, but it isn't the latest version. That's on this particular branch that I'm working on, and we're using our old friend stack. We've actually got 2 widgets. We've got a carousel, which is the one that I just demonstrated, that dynamically generates the widgets, and on the carousel there is no sort of way to limit the amount of items we have. We could stop the loop and that may fix it, but that means the user can only go one way and they have to go back, and I didn't want that. I want to be able to continuously loop. So we've got the carousel, but then what we've also got, if we turn the carousel off, we have also got a row which does the same thing. So the row is dynamically generated the children, and it's scrollable side to side. So basically what happens is, in this particular example, if there is no posts, we are showing the carousel because the carousel has got the empty list widget component, which is just the little image of the sort of swipey finger to demonstrate that you're going to be swiping items up into the calendar. But if there is between 1 and 3 posts and it is set, it can't be null. So between 1 and 3 posts, we're showing the row. There'll only be the amount of items in there that's generated, i.e. there'll be 1 if there's only 1, 2 if there's 2, etc. up to the 3. And then once you get to 3, what's happened is we're going to show the carousel, turn the row off. So if it's equal to or greater than 3, we're showing the carousel, and if the number of list equals 0, so if there's nothing in the list, we're showing the carousel because we've got the empty list widget component, and if there's 3 or more, we're showing the carousel because it's just a nice way of being able to swipe through your options. But if it's 1 or 2, we're showing the row because, again, it's just a better user experience. When you only created 1, you only want 1 card for them to swipe, you don't want 3. That's basically the point of it. That's an example I'm using it, and then the way I'm controlling these numbers here, I've got an app state that on page load, we are getting the number of the list. We've got an app state variable, which is our list of items, and we're filtering it by date. So where there's no date, i.e. they've not yet been swiped into the calendar, we're getting that number of items. And then every time we create or delete a post, we are incrementing it by 1 or decrementing it by 1. So therefore that's how the app state will constantly know how many items are in the list, and that will decide whether it's going to show the row or the carousel. This is something that I did because I wanted the carousel. I like the way it looks, but unfortunately you can't control the number of cards. If there's only 1 item in the carousel, it will still, as you can see, show 3 cards. So therefore this was my hack, if you like, to get around it, so it's a better user experience. So let me show you that in test mode. So we've got basically the empty carousel currently, because we've got nothing in the app state, nothing in the list, and we're showing the sort of just the placeholder basically. And if we add a post, and you can see we're showing the the row because there's only one post. And there's obviously no need to scroll through a carousel. And then with 2 posts, we're getting the scrollable row. And then if we add the 3rd post, we're now getting the carousel. So what we've done, we've hidden the row and shown the carousel because we've got 3 posts. And if I go on post 2 and delete it, we've got the row again with posts 1 and 3. And then you can just swipe those up into the dates that you want to add those. In this case it's posts, but it could be anything. So that's example number 1, where Flutterflow doesn't do exactly what I wanted it to do, and I'm using a bit of visibility trickery basically to show the user how I want it to look, rather than trying to manipulate something I've got not a lot of control over. So that is option number 1. Option number 2 I'm going to show you is to do with the custom calendar. So what we're going to do, if we clear posts and import from the cloud, and then we'll get a bit more information on this is the calendar, and just got our sort of video schedules for the next couple of months and what's going to be posted. And basically this is actually using the same kind of custom trickery with a stack. We've actually got 2 calendars, not the one. So I wanted to build a custom calendar to show the items on each given date. So then you can click on the date and it'll show you what's there basically. The little dots are little containers, but the issue I came across was my date picker is a custom component. The inbuilt date picker does day, month, year, and obviously I wasn't really interested in the day because I'm only selecting the months on the calendar to sort of go through. So I've got a custom component that selects month, year, and now what dates are shown is based on the month and the year. And what happens is we've got a custom action to get the day, date data. So basically we send in the month and the year we've picked, and it comes back with our days and dates for that month and any given year. So that's what we're doing there. But the problem is, on page load, our user has not picked a day and year, and therefore the way we're getting the information out of the custom action wasn't working. So we ended up with a blank calendar and the red screen of death with a null value. So I've got a stack, I've got a grid view with container, which obviously some other containers and things inside. Children are being created from the list, and the list is our action we're getting back from our custom action, which is the days and dates for that given month and year. The problem is, like I said, on page load we haven't got any days and dates because the user hasn't selected anything. So what I've got one list view, which is this one, which is called grid view controls, and that is displaying the days and dates based on the user picking a day and date from the custom widget. But then on page load we're displaying exactly the same thing, but it's just called grid view load, and basically we are displaying the days and dates for the current month. So we've got a situation where the user needs to pick a day, a month and a year, but before they've picked a month and a year we've got no information to display in the grid view. So therefore we've got 2 grid views that are conditionally displayed based on whether it's the page loading up or the user picking a month and year. So we've got one grid view that displays on load, and that's this one, grid view load, and then we've got another grid view that displays once the user has picked a month and a year, and basically they are obviously conditional, and we've just got a variable which is called which cal, i.e. which cal we want to set, and if it's true or false depending on which one is being set. So in this instance we're setting it to false, and when it's false it shows the controls version, and this one is got 2 options. So when the variable is true, the which calendar we're showing is true, we're showing the load view, and then also when load cal is set. So I've done a video on this. This is avoiding null errors. So as long as this variable has got some data in it, then it will show the calendar. If it doesn't, it won't show it, because then that way we avoid a null error red screen. So we've got the variables which are true or false, essentially. Which calendar, is it true or false? It will depend on if we're showing the grid view calendar on load or the grid view calendar based on the controls. So again, what we've got here, if we come out of the widget, go to another page, settings or something, and go back to the calendar, and it's on page load, we have got the current month and year, so that's what you get automatically on page load, which is showing this view. But then as soon as I click on the widget, find another month, we're getting the other view basically. So let's go back to March, because we know we've got some items plugged in for March, and there we go. So that's how it works. I've got some errors down here on the variables there to do with date time errors. I've still got to get my head around those, but obviously don't affect what we're doing here. So that's it really. It's two examples of using conditional visibility when you can't get Flutterflow to do exactly what you want it to do, or it's not inbuilt what you want it to do. You can use conditional visibility to circumnavigate around limitations and get it doing what you want. There's loads and loads of ways you can use this. These are just two examples I'm using in this particular app, and I thought I'd share it because I think it's a handy thing to know. So hopefully that's useful. Hopefully you can use it in your projects. I'm fairly certain you can. So as usual, if you enjoyed that, if it was helpful, please consider like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next video.